Welcome to Monday Motivations, 52 weeks to a more purposeful you. And this week we're going to be talking about time. I'm Corry Mendoza and Jeff Sipes is our guest today. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Corry. I'm excited to be part of what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you and I have kind of been a part of what each other's doing since we were like itty bitty young adults.
Yeah, I remember the first time we met in
Yeah.
Rayleigh's in a networking group in that upper room up there.
Yeah, exactly. So Jeff Sipes is an amazing man. He's a husband, a father. He started a company, a credit repair company in what, 2003 for
2008 was our year. Yep.
Okay, 2008. And you are now national. I think you're like the top one, two, or three credit repairing companies in the nation.
In the state. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So state, nation, world, galaxy, I don't know. I see you right up there. But you have done amazing things with your time. And so I thought you'd be the perfect person for us to discuss time. I
I
mean,
love it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
when you think about this week's topic, what are some things, some life experiences or words of wisdom that you've gathered over the years with time?
Oh man, a lot comes to mind. So first thing is, we all have the same amount of time, right, in a day. And I think it's important for us because if you ask anyone, Corry, if you're busy and everyone says, yes, I'm busy, right? And so we tend to fill our calendars to the max, just like with you guys, you're busy with work and your marriage and as being a mother, right?
Mhm.
And then if you want to squeeze a little fun into your life or whatever. And so I think it's really important for us to be mindful about setting boundaries
Yeah.
for the things that tend to be urgent. I'm sorry, to be urgent but not important, right?
Right.
And so our cell phones, that's definitely a big one. I always try to be mindful of, especially when I'm with our kids, and making sure I'm setting good boundaries for my work. I don't let my work push into my family. I don't let my work push into my fitness, right? Because for me, I try to exercise, 4 to 6 times a week because it
Mhm.
helps me sleep better, helps me be a better version of myself. And so I know if I work an extra hour and I cut out my exercise, long term, it's not going to be beneficial for me.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And and just so people listening can grasp a little bit more about what's on your plate. So, you run your own business with how many employees?
We have 14 staff.
Okay,
Yep.
so 14 employees. You've got 4 children ranging from what?
So
5.
it's actually three, Corry. That's okay though.
Sorry.
No, my wife would count me as the fourth, so you've probably been talking to Natalie. Our youngest is Addison, and she's 6. So she's involved in gymnastics and also in soccer. And then our middle son is Carter. He's a 7th grader. He's 12. He plays competitive soccer for Placer, and so we travel a lot for his soccer. And then our oldest just started high school, Jaden. He's 14, and so he also plays competitive soccer for Placer. And so we're traveling San Diego, Texas, Florida. So we're doing
Wow.
lots of fun family soccer tournaments.
Yeah, yeah. And then you have a young adult marriage, 18 years, right?
Yes, I know.
You guys are legally adults.
Yeah, luckily she's helped me be a better version of myself, and she's got the patience of a saint. So
Yeah, she's definitely a very calm, patient person.
she is.
Love Natalie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with all that going on, you mentioned boundaries and making
Mhm.
sure that you have clear boundaries with yourself around your work,
Yep.
your family, your fitness.
Yeah.
I imagine it wasn't always like that for you. So can you think back to a time when it was hard to have clear boundaries?
Absolutely. So it's funny, I told the story in the last week. And So prior to starting Blue Water Credit, I was a sales manager for a local health club, and I loved it because I love fitness, right? And so, but what ended up happening is the company sold to an investment firm, and then all of a sudden it started being about numbers. And so they were like, hey, if you guys aren't projecting your goal, you need to work 12 hours a day, you need to work a Saturday, you need to work, we called them closeouts. So if it's the 15th or the end of the month, didn't matter if it was a Saturday or Sunday, I had to work. And so I was a workaholic prior to starting our company. And one of the things that I kind of a boundary or a non-negotiable that I set up when I started Blue Water Credit was I was going to work between work hours, which were going to be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Those were my boundaries for my work because I know I had a tendency to want to work long hours late in the evening. And so I knew starting the business, right, that if I was going to scale back my hours, I had to be laser focused. And you love Bob Goff, right?
Yeah.
He's got
Oh,
a
I love him.
fantastic book I just finished listening to called
Oh,
Undistracted.
I have it and I just started it.
Yeah, it's so good. And so because us Americans, we get distracted so easily. And so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't confusing being busy with being productive
Yeah.
from a work standpoint. And so typically the thing I feared most to do, which was like cold calling someone or public speaking or shooting a video or doing something like that. Those are all the things like, there's this theory of like, we all have to eat a frog every day. No one
Yes.
likes to eat a frog,
Yep.
but the sooner you eat a frog, the better you feel, and it gives you confidence to do it, to eat another frog.
Yeah. Eat that
So,
frog.
and and realizing, if I restrict the amount of time I'm working, I really needed to figure out what was most important. And I try to do that, with every aspect of my life is find out what's the most important thing. Gary Keller's, the owner of Keller Williams, wrote a great book called The One Thing.
Yes.
It's a fantastic read, but really it's a matter of figuring out what's important to you, right? Your priorities, and then being laser focused on setting good boundaries and making sure that you're doing the thing that matters most, right?
Yeah. And a big thing that I talked about in here was the whole mentality of I don't have enough time. So it's easy if we're keep thinking I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time, it creates an experience of overwhelm, confusion, chaos. And we don't feel in control of our time. And I think that I like how you started this talk with, we all have 24 hours in a day and we get to choose how we use that time. And it's funny because our oldest, Skylar, she's almost 21, and she called me today. And I was at tennis. That's why we met 15 minutes later than we originally planned. But I was looking ahead, so I emailed a week in advance and like, hey, can we start at 11:15 instead of 11? And anyways, but she called me while I was at tennis, and then I called her after. And she's like, Mom, because we're going to go see the Lady Gaga concert tomorrow in San Francisco. So she took 2 days off work, but to take those 2 days off, she's worked 8 days in a row. So then she's like, I want to call out work today because I have all this stuff I need to get done. But she's like, I feel guilty. I want to be a good employee. And they have liberty to do some of that where she works. But she was trying to make this decision. And I said, okay, well, those are two choices, but think about all the options in the middle. Like, what if we leave later to the concert tomorrow? So you do go to work, but then you can get some of the stuff done. What if you make a list of all the things you want to get done and pick the top 3 and see how you can get them done? What if you delegate some of those things? One of them was walk her dog. I'm like, I could walk Ogden, so I think it's really about our mindset, believing I have plenty of time. I am capable of managing my time. And then we start to become more creative with how we use it. So have you experienced that shift from being I don't have enough into being more purposeful with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes. Looking back over the years, I feel like I'm a much better steward of my time than I have in the past. I feel like I'm going to continue to get better, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's a matter of scheduling, right? We talked about prioritize, but also looking at your day and realizing, hey, these are all the things that I need to get accomplished today. And
Mhm.
if exercising is important to you, put it on your calendar. If
Mhm.
going on a date night with your significant other is important, put that on the calendar. We
Mhm.
try to do, my wife and I try to do a date because we have 3 kids. We try to do a date with each one of them, right? Once a month, so we can get some alone time with them. So
Yeah.
just being mindful of your schedule and whether it's your phone or your desktop or whatever is keep your personal schedule and the things that are important to you kind of on a calendar to make sure that you get them in.
Yeah, I like how you said being a steward of our time. And that kind of goes back to that foundational approach to time is this is my life. This is my time and I can choose how I'm going to use it. And the stewardship that I really like that.
Hmm.
Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so what stewardship means to me is really pulling apart the things that aren't not important
Mhm.
and making sure that you're able to say no to the things that potentially would distract you and making sure that you're committing to the things that are most important, right? So having young kids, we have a saying, I think I've said it to you before, is the days are long, but the years are short, right? And
Mhm.
so making sure that you're working and you're providing for your family financially, but making sure that you're also taking care of yourself, right? So when you are with your loved ones, you're the
Mhm.
best version of yourself. So that means making sure I go to bed at a decent time, making sure I'm eating healthy, I'm not taking too much caffeine.
Yeah.
and and then when we are spending time with our loved ones, try to be in the moment versus thinking about the next day. And I think for me, staying organized, and my wife Natalie and I kind of talk about what our next day is going to look like, the evening prior, and so that way we can kind of come into it and make sure if there's any adjustments we need to make, we can, so that we're not sacrificing the things that are very, very important to us.
Mhm. I'm curious, do you have a time of day that's consistent that you sync up on the next day?
Usually it's probably around 7:30 or 8.
Yeah,
Once we kind of got most of the sports stuff done, we
yeah,
finished with dinner. Natalie will actually, she's just been getting like a white piece of paper and then
yeah.
just kind of writing out what the next day is going to look like. Because with work and then with the kids going in 3 directions, typically after school, we kind of need to know what we need to
Oh,
accomplish
yeah.
during the day, who's going to pick up the kids. We have
Mhm.
3 pickups and 3 drop-offs in the morning. Well, I take it back. Our middle son's been riding his scooter in. So we have 2 pickups and 3 drop-offs because it's been so stinking hot. We don't want him to ride his scooter
Yeah,
home.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of organization. I'm really excited. Yesterday, I finished planning out 2023 and
Wow.
Rusty came in the room and I had a printed every month for next year and I had all the major like my work days, my full day trainings that I'm going to do blocked off. So I told my assistant, these are my days. I have I think 48 full training days available for clients to schedule. So no more back and forth with her. It's just like those are what's available, fill them up. But I showed Rusty and he goes, so you have our whole life planned out for a year? I'm like, yes, I do. And here's one thing I thought of that we have never done before. I put in all the minimum days that our kids have.
Yep.
And I told Rusty, let's just take off work those days and do like really fun, organized things with them and their friends because the other parents are usually scrambling. And it's like, so there's just little things. And I love the idea of being a steward with our time, being an artist.
Yep.
What can we create with all these
Mm,
limits and all these
yes.
things to do? But it really does just start like what you said, with knowing what our priorities are and knowing what things we don't want to distract us. What are some things that you've caught, maybe since listening to that book, Undistracted? Have you found any new things recently that you're like, I'm gonna cut this or this out because it's no longer contributing to, you know, my well-being and my goals?
So I don't think we've cut anything out, but I've kind of flipped my perspective on how I look at things.
Okay.
So with our kids active in the evening time, we spend a lot of time driving the kids from practice to practice. And so, my mindset was, oh, I got to go spend, 20 minutes in the car to pick them up. And then we're going home, and then another 20 minutes to take them to a sporting event. Well, what I started doing is we just created a thing where we're not on our phones, they're not on their phones in our drive, and we're just creating conversation. And then and then I've been doing my best to work out at a gym while they're at practice. And then I'll usually either try to listen to something encouraging, motivational while I do some cardio and then do some weights. And then I can pick them up. I've kind of cleared all the cobwebs out of my head. I got my workout done, and then I can spend some more quality time with them that way. So I think that's kind of been a shift for me, is just looking at the time we're spending in the car as, from a bad thing to a good thing, and we're going to invest in the relationship.
That's exactly what this whole thing is about, is how we think about it. I love how you converted something that might have felt like maybe wasting time to
Yep.
it's actually maximizing it. And I also wrote down, I'm going to reinforce it with Rusty, when both kids got phones, Stella got a phone last December, we've done the whole no, don't be on your phone in the car. And in the past few weeks, we've kind of gotten lazy with it. I'll see him on it and I'm just like, whatever, but I'm going to go back to it because it's true. Some of the best conversations are during those, routine, mundane drives.
Yep.
That's
Yeah. And
when you
then
open up.
I read a parenting book once, and it came to mind that, for kids, you can't really just create quality time, but
No.
through quantity time, you will have quality time moments, right?
I'm writing that down too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Um, all right. Um, any other last thoughts? Like, what are you working on with your relationship with time? It sounds like you have it pretty dialed in. Are there any other little tweaks that you're wanting to find a way to fit something in or remove something, or is it pretty dialed in?
A couple things. Bob Goff says quit something every Thursday. So I don't necessarily know that that's practical for our life. We can quit something, but it is okay to quit something. I feel like we keep piling things into our lives,
Yeah.
and we both of our boys that play year-round soccer decided in the last year to pick up another sport, and so Jaden, our oldest, was playing basketball, and our middle son Carter was playing baseball. And so they both realized, at the level of soccer, the comp soccer they're playing, it was just too much, right? And so we want the boys to be physically active because it keeps them off their phone, it keeps them out of trouble. But then we realized it was kind of like at a breaking point where it was too much. And so realizing, at some point it's okay to quit something. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing in some cases, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yep. All right. I think we pretty much covered it. Priorities, boundaries, eating our frog first thing in the morning, getting that thing checked off, and very, very useful. I hope everybody's inspired and feels like an artist with their time. I know it'll be interesting to see how I love being able to pour into Skylar, that young adult phase, remembering back to being 20 and like juggling. I mean, she's juggling the whole working full time, managing a house, trying to work out, and then her dog. That it's just like, we all have to figure out our time management. But let's go ahead and close with the quote. So the quote Let's see. Until you value yourself, you won't value your time. Until you value your time, you won't do anything with it. And that's from Scott Peck. So,
I love that, Corey.
yeah.
Yeah,
What?
and I just am grateful for what you do for our community and for the example that you and Rusty are for your friends and those around you. So you do a great job of lifting everyone up and helping people be a better version of themselves.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Yeah. And in the words of my son, Jaden, he's like, Mom, you model for us what to do and what not to do.
I
So I
love them.
humbly accept your compliment. And then I just want to add, like, and we sometimes model, what not to do. So thank you again, Jeff. And for anybody who wants to raise their credit score, clean up their credit, I have personally used Jeff more than once. Rusty has used you. We refer you to everybody. Legitimate, reliable, trustworthy. I mean, everybody is so professional at your company, skilled, and who doesn't want an 800 plus credit score when they're going to get an auto loan or a car or something? So,
Oh,
or house.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Thank
Jeff.
you. All
Okay.
right. Have a
See
great
everybody
day.
next week. Bye-bye.